hacía soñar en esas noches cuando nos colmaba la locura y la felicidad de estar conmigo, vivir conmigo y cada mañana escuchar tu voz diciendo que me amas, estar conmigo, vivir conmigo y dejar que el sol salude tu rostro desde mi ventana. Eso es el deseo de estar contigo. Ay, pero mira, gitanito, como te extraño. Es el deseo de estar contigo. Ay, contigo, muchacho. Es el deseo de estar contigo. Es el deseo que me provoca todas las noches cuando ya no estás conmigo. Conmigo, sentirme cerca de ti. Llámame como soy, tómame sin temor, solo te pido yo. Te pido, no me causes más dolor. Suave que me estás matando, que estás acabando corazón. Es el deseo conmigo. Si me hubieras dicho dos palabras, he querido escuchar de ti solamente dos palabras, pero sigues tú jugando y a mí no me dices nada. Me preocupa tu confianza, tu actitud no la veo clara. Ándate tranquilo, ya me estás cansando, no te pases de la raya. Te pasas de la raya, provocando el deseo que me hiere y me hace daño. Tú te pasas de la raya, provocando el deseo que me hiere y me hace daño. Pero qué rico, provocando el deseo que me hiere y me hace daño. Pero muchacha, que no se yayita. Provocando el deseo que me hiere y me hace daño. Que me hiere, pero que me hace llorar, que me hace llorar. Provocando el deseo que me...
Hold up a mirror to the city of Los Angeles and what is reflected? A place where innovation thrives, where opportunity abounds and intellect expands, where creativity produces new visions, where compassion heals, where science and technology drive progress. Hold up a mirror to the city and what is reflected? A place that embraces all people, where we transform lives with each step up the ladder of prosperity, where we energize communities, where we reinvigorate our region and shape the future of our city, our state, and our nation. Hold up a mirror to the city and what do you see? Cal State LA. We are LA. Join us as we soar to greater heights. Cal State LA ranked #1 in the nation for upward mobility.
Welcome to the California State University, Los Angeles, commencement ceremony for the Rongxiang Shu College of Health and Human Services. Will the class of 2021 please rise to be acknowledged by your family and friends? Now, will everyone please rise for the national anthem? Please turn your attention to the screen. The national anthem will be performed by the Cal State LA Graduate Choral Ensemble and will be conducted by Melissa Aguilar Gray.
Oh, say
Please be seated. Now, please welcome to the stage the president of California State University, Los Angeles, William A. Covino.
Good afternoon, class of 2021. It's good to see you all here. Where you been? Oh, yeah, home. Well, this is now your second home again. It's great to see you all back on campus, to see your family and friends here with you. It's really an exciting moment for us to get together face to face and to celebrate your accomplishments. So, congratulations and great success as you move forward. You have fan clubs out there too. I want to welcome also and say thank you to the Dean of the Rongsheng College of Health and Human Services, Ron Vogel, who's back there. Ron, there he is, waving to us. And also we have with us this afternoon Wendy Carrillo, a California State Assembly member and alumna of Cal State LA. There she is. Hello, Wendy. Haven't seen you for a while either. And a big thank you to the dozens and dozens and dozens of people who are responsible for this event today and all that it took to pull it together over the days and weeks and months, and to be ready to celebrate you. We have had faculty and staff and students and volunteers and all manner and vendors from outside, all manner of folks who have been focused on creating this experience and have worked very hard and continue to work very hard to make sure that all the moving parts are moving as we get the ceremonies going. So they're wearing white hats, almost all of them. So folks with you that you see with white hats, say thank you to them. And right now, let's say thank you all together. This is a celebration of you. This is your day. This is a celebration of all that you've accomplished. And it's also a celebration for the graduates who could not be with us this afternoon, but are watching via live stream. So wherever you are in the world right now, you are part of this celebration as well, and we congratulate you. We all know that earning a Cal State LA degree is a life-changing achievement, especially this particular degree at this particular moment in time. With your Cal State LA degree comes a unique identity. You're a university graduate, and not everyone can say that. And even fewer people can say that they are, as you are, forever a Cal State LA Golden Eagle. That belongs to you. Now, Golden Eagle's a pretty good mascot for us because it does represent a number of the traits that we treasure. The Golden Eagle is powerful and brave and tenacious and resourceful and resilient and innovative. And Cal State LA Golden Eagles know the value of service to others. So class of 2021, you represent all of those elements, and you're going forth with all of them in hand and in mind. During the pandemic, you illustrated what it means to be a Golden Eagle. Life changed very quickly, and you were forced to adapt to it just as quickly. You remember, right? You were on campus and taking your classes and talking with your friends and meeting with your professors early in March, and then later in March, you were at home in front of a screen. We all made the shift but you made a shift that is that much more remarkable for what you've achieved in the process. So I speak for all of our faculty and staff and alumni and administrators and community members when I say that we are very, very proud of you and really in awe of what you've been able to do over these difficult months. You didn't give up on your dream of earning a university degree. You continued studying, you continued learning, you continued serving others, you continued caring for your family, you continued striving toward your goals in spite of every challenge that the pandemic caused and continues to cause. Even as the world around you seemed to fall apart, you kept working and preparing to build a better world. And it's this quality, this foresight, this focus on building a better world which that designates what it means to be a Cal State LA Golden Eagle. You can see beyond the fray, I guess, and you can soar above the conflicts and create a vision of the future and then work to realize it. You don't buy the argument that we are in the midst of intractable problems and nothing will ever change. You don't buy the argument that homelessness and injustice and inequity and disease are just the way it is and will never change. Because you've learned how to soar, you see a future in which the world is deeply invested everywhere in social justice. You see a future in which we have defeated or mitigated so many of the challenges that are before us at the moment. You, Golden Eagles, are a force for good in a world that desperately needs goodness. You are unique. Yeah, you can applaud for yourselves. Somebody was starting that. You're uniquely equipped to serve and lift up your communities. You have, I would propose, superpowers. What are some of those superpowers? Caring for one another is one of your superpowers. Compassion in the face of struggle is one of your superpowers. And the knowledge and skill to make a difference and build a better world is one of your superpowers. So, you know, Marvel may have the Avengers, but we have you, the Golden Eagles. You are the superheroes that our world needs. And every superhero, you know, has an origin story. Your origin story has to do with all these folks that are seated around you right now. Family and friends and loved ones who have helped support you on this journey, who have kept you going when times got tough, who have kept you believing in yourself and in your capacity to achieve this goal. Even when you wanted to give up because it was getting pretty difficult, they stood by you and helped hold you up as you continued to move forward. So this is your moment, Golden Eagles, but it also belongs to those who love and support you and who helped you to get to this place. In that spirit, I'd like to ask all of the parents of our graduates who are with us today to please rise if you're able and let us thank you. All of the parents, there they are. Now, you remain standing, please, and let's have the grandparents join them. The grandparents, too, and the aunts and uncles, and the brothers and sisters, and the nieces and nephews, and the spouses and partners and children, and all of the friends of the class of 2021. Everybody stand. Thank you all very much. You're a big part of the success that we're celebrating today, and I applaud every one of you. The class of 2021 also includes a number of military veterans who have served our nation with valor and then returned to Cal State LA to earn a degree. And I want to add a plug for our active service and reserve military, because they were here since last February, staffing the COVID-19 mega vaccination site here at Cal State LA, and all those people in uniform helped us administer 500,000 doses of vaccine here at Cal State LA. So our military colleagues are doing good work here and around the world, and I want to take a moment and ask any veterans who are here among our graduates or among our family, friends, and guests, any military veterans, to please stand and let us thank you for your service. There they are. All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Some of the veterans not only stood, they danced. That's an innovation. I haven't seen that one before. So, big chapter in your life today. And as you write the future chapters, I hope that you will never forget the faculty and staff and fellow students who were part of your journey to this moment, that you'll never forget the lessons that you learned here, academic lessons and life lessons, and that you'll never forget the bravery and power and tenacity and expertise that belong to you, the qualities that you possess now. No one can take these from you. They will serve you well in the years ahead. So wherever you go in life, remember this: you are a golden eagle, and you will soar. Congratulations.
The university grants the baccalaureate degree with Latin designations summa cum laude, magna cum laude, or cum laude to students who maintain an outstanding academic record while earning their degrees. These students wear gold braids draped on their black gowns to mark their outstanding academic accomplishments. Will the candidates for graduation with honors please rise and be recognized? Please be seated. We will now present graduates of the Rongxiang Shu College of Health and Human Services. They have met all of the requirements for their respective degrees and are recommended by the university faculty who taught them. We invite master's degree graduates to the stage to be presented. With a Master of Science in Nursing, Olesia Stephanie Dance Chavez.
Hakiran Kur Virdi.
Alvin Reyes.
Kenneth Uoma.
Len Adrian Umayam.
Ferdinand Andy Remando.
Lillian Mary Goosh.
Antonio Villapadilla.
Paul Arredondo Jr.
Selena Danielle Lopez.
Jacqueline Brooke Call.
Liang Zhou.
Fei Wong.
Marina Esperanza Belloso.
Jessica Lopez.
Elena Cristina Martinez.
Hannah Tagle.
Erica Aguilar Marquin.
Melissa Su Ying Lee.
Bernadette Christine Santos.
Arch Anthony Jungers.
Tanya Maria Josias.
Hillary Fox.
Anya Espinosian.
Helene Marguerite Mendez.
Lilith Kamichin.
Mary Petrosian.
Leah Zadorian.
Armine Balumian.
Melanie Galagian.
Natalie Navarro.
Yesenia Urquilla.
Maria Elena Morgan.
Yoon Mi An.
With a Master of Science in Nutritional Science, Amanda Marie Allen.
Kathleen Balquiedra.
Rodney Rodriguez. Congratulations. We invite bachelor's degree graduates to the stage to be presented. With the Bachelor of Science in Exercise Science, Samuel Martin Torres.
Cassandra Marina Serna.
Jessica Nadine Meza.
Miguel Lorenzo Barcelona.
Maxwell Hu Yang Ta.
Natalie Cecilia Roldan.
Lana Hope Katseris.
Wendy Gonzalez.
Ayla J. Hermoso.
Kimberly Sarai Ibarra.
Alyssa Takai Avalos.
Gabriela Soquiapa.
Ethan Kyle Lee.
Joshua Elwin Boyce.
Nigel Nareth Sher.
Daniela Hernandez.
John Ramos.
Luis Andres Rodriguez.
Shawnee Elliott Martinez.
Oliver Andries.
Alejandro Mancilla.
Giovanni Valentin Santos.
Hudson B. Valdivia.
Zaxon Liu.
Josmeli Catherine Rodriguez.
Jessa Marie Digno de la Cruz.
Nayiri Ani Malatian.
Brianna Arlene Vela.
Kevin Alberto Flores Ramirez. Ariel Garcia.
Lisbeth Cezena Michaca.
Jason Ortiz.
Noemi Alexandra Lozano.
With a Bachelor of Science in Food Science and Technology, Randall Daniel Reyes.
Anthony Alex Melendez.
With a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, Ryan Mangozin Cacacho.
Perla Danielle Alonso.
Morelia Elizabeth Martinez.
Helen Rose Eddington.
Edgar Guadalupe Arreola.
Pearl Christine Christian.
Edilberto Gabriel Ilo.
Silvia Maria Hernandez.
Carla Noemí Navarro Garcia.
Christina Y. Wu.
Jessica Lim Arevalo.
Isabela Lupita Garcia.
Marjorie Michelle Arriaga.
Carl Duong.
Joanne Valino.
Anthony Gutierrez.
Jason Zachariah Buzari.
Benjamin Ryan Chen.
Hazel Valdez Glayo.
Mary Chris Trask.
Kirk Patrick Aparte Angeles.
Monique Racanco.
Fung Kim Nguyen.
Nati Ron Nguyen.
Aniel Teodorico Kaisen Perez.
Krista Tang Padlan.
María Isabel Rivas.
Derek Daniel Flores Trinidad.
Daniel Schur.
Carolina Hernandez.
Ana Rosa Landeros.
Darren Victoria Gutierrez.
Taylor Arlene Henriksen.
Hermulinda de Jesus Hernandez.
Elena Terrazas.
Mary Divine Quillope Venegas.
Casey Cortez.
Para Jesusa Palitinquian Tolentino.
Elena Hernández.
Yesenia Jimenez.
Jennifer Marie Solis.
Melanie Alexis Hernandez.
Angela Susan Dang.
Maria Vott.
Chris Rafanen.
Mina Kim.
Joel Alfonso Urbina.
Jericho Alba Matemático.
Jason Ignas Te.
Sammy Chen.
Alyssa Ashley Cano.
Min Yue Nguyen.
Beatriz Gonzalez.
Russell Sia Butak.
Vanessa C. Rodriguez.
Bianca Melissa Mendoza.
Samantha Lee Periconi Cap.
Kevin Long.
Esmeralda Ruiz.
Corinne Ledesma.
With a Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology, Diana Liz de la Caridad González Núñez.
Verónica Reyes Barón.
Patricia Mora.
Alyssa Solancho.
Erika Fernanda Fernandez.
Russell Mark Ramirez.
Marlon Brandon Eruela de Vera.
María de Lourdes León.
Tiffany Louise Love.
Vanessa Perez.
America Janet Perez.
Nikki Rose Lariosa.
Sergio Arias.
Joanna Stephanie Figueroa.
Ben Lee.
Moesha Onassis Elliott Rivas.
Emily Joanna Rosales.
Alejandra Stamatio.
Alan Garcia.
Kimberly Christine Romero.
Jocelyn Elizabeth Martinez Colocho.
Hector Hugo Vaca Gonzalez.
Kevin Steve Estrada.
Brianna Elena Lara.
Veronica Juarez.
Marissa Rose Mercado.
Savannah Nicole Rubio.
Erwin John Espinelli.
Dagoberto Reyes II.
Jacqueline Perez.
Grace Selena Ramirez.
Jasmine Mendoza Alvarez.
Erica Monique Garza.
Raúl Antonio Menjivar.
Salvador Alexander Arguilla.
Jorge Dario Banderas.
Steve Reynoso.
Daisy Cristina Galvez.
Sarai Ruby Medina.
Rosa Linda Carrillo Doño.
Alejandra Sanchez.
Fifi Nguyen.
Jocelyn Walsh Elias.
Jason Pichardo Beltran.
Jasmine Mariah Ulloa.
Alyssa Teresa Escobar.
Eduardo Hurtado.
Fernando Colín.
Ruby Delgadillo.
María Elena Mota.
Perla G. Barrera.
Wilfredo Jr. Argueta.
Michael Almeida.
Raylinda Jane Perez de la Rea.
Efren F. Bautista.
Javier Araiza.
Darwin Giovanni Sosa.
Diego Federico Cibaja.
Natalie Elaine Juarez.
Savannah Ray Anderson.
Matthew Thompson.
Christian Castillo.
Felipe de Jesus Barrera Tuli.
William Aaron Bugie.
Mario Hernandez Jr.
Jonathan Gutierrez Castellanos.
Sonia Torres.
Jessie Paola Biar.
Hernán Fiel Pagaduan Ángeles.
Jan Marcus Amores Tomase.
Valeria Guadalupe Mejía.
Ilaria Annette Van Putten.
Fátima Yesenia Plasencia.
Sarah Rose Shamon.
Kenneth Hannant.
Giovanni Duran.
Samuel Jonathan Weiss.
Viviana Avila.
Michelle Villarreal Paradero.
Randall Faigao Alfeche.
Paola Ángeles Velázquez.
Jacob Luis Soto.
Tiffany Cow.
Faye de Guzman Evangelista.
Allison Rivera Macabagdal.
Pedro Rafael Guardado.
Steve Lopez.
Matthew Miao.
Samantha Garcia.
Irma Lisette Pinzon.
Kimberly Mendez.
Anitza Jimenez.
Genesee Edith Rivera.
Alondra Contreras.
Oscar Torres.
Steven Cervantes.
Juan Manuel Gomez.
Rebecca Brandy Silva.
Leslie Adriana Juarez Lucero.
Stacy Giselle Concepza.
Natasha Joy Verduzco.
Ryan Yee.
Tyler Jacob Menese.
Nestor Basilio Martinez.
Al Jefferson Daganan Villarreal.
Vanessa Banuelos.
Mariel Jimenez Santiago.
Megan Caitlin Ignacio Wynn.
Nelson Giovanni Lopez.
Matthew Tristan De Jesus.
Miranda Ramirez. Diana Martinez.
Gillian Christine Octamia.
Sandra Yanira Martinez.
Ashley Woodruff.
Max Cayetano.
Alex Lasalde.
Edward Ivan Moreno.
Andres E. Careno.
Ricky Gonzalez.
Steven Solis.
Fernando Uraje.
Moises Isaiah Azua.
Alexander Bird.
Andy Garcia Mendez.
Cesar Munoz.
Lou Galvez.
Marina Rose Perez.
Angie Soledad Reyes Enamorado.
Vanessa Alicia Chavez.
Samantha Brianna Castellon.
Karina Valle.
Ariel Bala Villanueva.
Mario Vicencio Espino.
Renzer Anagao.
Nicole Angela Escano Badillo.
Mario Artagame Agsalio Jr.
Nestle Ilano Kiambao.
Jose Govea.
Makeda Edna Jane Kirui.
With a Bachelor of Science in Nutritional Science, Carla Elaine Rodas.
Mariela Esther Hernandez.
Eduardo Ignacio Covarrubias.
Ashley Victoria Carpenter.
Leslie Aremi Tapia Torres.
Seeing Sean.
Diana Marilet Gonzalez.
Henry Wong.
Ileana Christine Rivas.
Carolina Andrea Garnica.
Estefania Ramos.
Maria del Socorro Alva.
Erica Cardenas.
Eliane Resende Mulan.
Judith Elizabeth Enriquez Grequeño.
Ruben Lara.
Jonathan Andrew Lagunas.
Kimberly Perez Kawansi.
Melissa Rodriguez.
Henry Louis Carrillo.
Stephen Chinos.
Catherine Abril Calderon.
Priscilla Vega.
Lontin Ho.
Sally Vanessa Tobar.
Calvin M. Chung.
Yomaira Torres.
Itzel Mendez.
Anais Jauregui.
Jorge Alberto Galdames.
Sean Jean.
Bonnie Kathleen Bender.
Rachel Reedy.
Ricardo Gildemontes.
Alyssa Marie Hokinson.
McKenna Celine Rivers.
Carl Amadeus Tomines de Vera.
Amalia Jose Ayala.
Stephanie Ocampo.
Felicia Webb.
Jacqueline Ramirez.
Alejandra Jolon Aldana.
Laura V. Sisabat.
Joanna Camille Maglalang.
Diana Gonzalez.
And last but not least, with the Masters of Science in Nutritional Science, Atsiri Yazaret Viafana.
Okay, that was great. You really looked good. We're going to do it once more, though. We'll do it once more. We'll just start from the beginning and go. They're looking at me like I'm, like, really? No. That was great. That was great. Let's make this official, okay? Will the master's degree graduates from the Rongshang Shu College of Health and Human Services please rise for the conferral of your degree? By the authority vested in me by the state of California and by the trustees of the California State University, I hereby confer upon you the master's degree for which you qualify with all the rights, privileges, and honors pertaining thereto. Congratulations. All right. Okay, well, you sit down for a minute. We'll get back to you. All right. Now, will the bachelor's degree graduates please rise and let us confer your degree? By the authority vested in me by the state of California and by the trustees of the California State University, I hereby confer upon you the bachelor's degree for which you qualify with all the rights, privileges, and honors pertaining thereto. Now, you can move your tassel from the right to the left. Congratulations. Everybody up. Everybody up. Everybody up. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, the class of 2021.
At this time, the university hymn will be performed by the Cal State LA Graduate Choral Ensemble, conducted by Chris Ornelas. Please turn your attention to the screen. Congratulations, graduates. This marks the end of your ceremony. Please follow the directions of university ushers as you leave the field and meet your guests. Thank you.